3,000 products in Walmarts.
Right.
What is the number one product that they sell?
I hate to even say it. It's a black trash can.
No way!
Yep.
It is a black trash can.
Black trash can.
That costs less than $20.
Yeah, it really is. That is the number one product we sell.
Ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are today on the CEO Parenting Podcast. My guest, Kristen Payne, is a friend of a former guest, Laura Quick. Laura Quick was absolutely wonderful. I love Laura. I saw Laura Saturday night at a wedding. So she's wonderful. So in this, we try to make this as conversational as possible. So I don't know a whole lot about Kristen at all. Did that on purpose. We've talked on the phone a couple of times. We texted a bunch because we had to reschedule some things. But she is based here in Birmingham. And I know Better Homes and Gardens. So tell me about what you do, really, what your job title is and what you do.
Okay, so my job title is executive, it is vice president and general manager of the Better Homes and Gardens licensed collection at Walmart.
That is a long title.
It's a very long title.
Business card. Okay, so Better Homes and Gardens. So tell me about, let's go to the short version of where you're from, birth to college to
the short life story
version. Yeah, the short life story.
Sure. So made it to Birmingham by way of Texas.
Okay.
So Texan by birth. I grew up in Houston, went to the University of Houston.
Oh, really?
Was a journalism major.
Yeah.
Loved advertising and marketing and worked for a home builder. That home builder built a Southern Living Idea house many, many, many years ago. I was over the Southern Living Idea house as far as like the project manager.
And this was in what year?
Oh gosh, 93.
Okay.
So we built the show home and I got to know.
So you're young, you're 23.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
Okay. That's cool.
Plus a few.
Yeah.
In dog years, maybe. Yeah. So I got to know everybody at Southern Living, which was so much fun. And they were all based here in Birmingham, but we had built this house in Houston and it was featured in the August issue of the magazine.
Right.
So fast forward, I left the home builder to work for Southern Living.
Okay.
Southern Living had at that time published a house plan of the month every month, and it was an editorial column. And they really wanted to turn that into a business. So they needed someone with like a marketing background that understand home building, but also could kind of build this business with nothing but like literally one of those suction cup credit card machines.
Okay, so Southern Living, it has a magazine. They have the plans for these idea homes, but they now want to build. They want to sell the plans.
They do.
To Johnny and Jack.
That's right. Where anybody could buy that set of plans, and it would normally be like a $12,000 set of plans. You could buy it for like $800. So it's what they call a stock plan business. So we had people that would see these plans in the magazine and they wanted to buy them. And so that's what we ended up doing, is starting that business.
You started to help them start that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We are 3 minutes and 28 seconds into this thing, and this is absolutely fascinating.
It was really fun.
All the things, so I get two magazines. Two, that's it.
Just two.
I get Southern Living.
Yes.
And Garden and Gun.
Oh, I love Garden and Gun.
Okay.
Love Garden and Gun.
Only two magazines.
Yes.
Two different companies.
Yep.
But I see those plans, and I started thinking to my mind, this is kind of cool. So y'all they still, even to this day in 2023,
100%.
And you helped start that 30 years ago.
Yes. So a very dear friend of mine who's actually retiring, she just announced her retirement. So she had been working in editorial and sort of starting this business up. And then she went and she retired early. This is now her second retirement. So I took her spot.
Okay.
And I came in and they had about 30 plans and they had about 5 designers and architects they had worked with. And they said, we want to build this into a big business. So that's what I did.
So you helped market and sell all that?
Yeah. And the most fun part was I would drive all around the South and I would find all these amazing architects.
No!
Yes. I would just get in my little Nissan and I would just cruise around the South. And I would walk in and just meet some of the most prominent architects in our entire portion of this country. So, and I would...
There's no way that's a real job.
I know, right? It was the most fun ever. So, and I would say, look, you draw plans for people like custom homes.
Sure.
And then people don't use them. They change their mind. They want something different. So iterations and versions just sit in drawers. So I would call these architects and I would say, I just want to come look through your drawers. And they would laugh at that statement for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
And I was like,
mostly men.
Mostly men,
Nice.
all men. And so they would laugh.
So
They're
I see
like,
what you did there.
You can come see. You
Yeah,
can
come on
this. Come on in, girly pop. So that's how
A woman
I started
using
it.
man humor in a man's business
right.
is this easiest way in the door.
Just so easy. How are they going to tell me no? I just want to look through your drawers.
Okay.
Yep. So we ended up, I still today have some of like my best friendships with these architects. One of them just wrote a book about his entire lifespan and I'm quoted in it.
That's
and they called me for an interview. So, I mean, these people turned out to be family, but that's how I started. That's how I moved to Birmingham.
Okay.
I was offered a job at Southern Living to take that business from an editorial feature and literally build it into a business, which we did. It was a $3 million business by year 4.
That to me, that's fascinating. So someone gets the magazine, they see it, and they call up and they say, "I want to buy this." And you say, "Okay, send me $800. I'll send it to you."
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was.
And imagine what it's like today with the digital.
Oh yeah.
The digital. So, like for example, we just had house plans done, pictures. I mean, it's pages and pages and pages. It's $4,000.
Oh yeah. Oh, minimum. Yeah.
And it was a reno. It was not even like a full build.
Right. Exactly.
$3 million in the first 4 years, and you're just selling plans.
Just selling plans.
You're selling leftover plans, mostly.
Leftover plans. Exactly. Good way to put it, actually. Leftover plans.
Holy crap.
These were gems. They were works of art.
Sure, no question.
Beautiful.
Great work, guys. Spent a lot. Okay, now let me ask this from a business standpoint. I love this. Okay, this is it. So how did you compensate Johnny Architect in Arkansas that built these, that had 15 beautiful plans in his stores?
So I decided I had to have a super simple business model, right?
Yeah.
Because this is not their core business. Their core business is drawing beautiful plans.
Right.
So I said, look, if I sell it and I fulfill it and I do all the marketing and I put the brand on it, if you'll give it to me exclusively, I'll pay you a royalty. We'll have a rev share
every
on
time
it.
every
time I sell it.
Okay, well, do you mind telling me what that was, or can you tell me?
I can give you a range.
Yeah, sure.
So depending on the architect, it would be somewhere between like 15 and 30%.
Okay, so this was 30 years ago. You said they're $800. What do they cost today?
Oh, today they're more like $2,500 to $3,000.
So not crazy.
Yeah, no, not crazy.
So, but when you buy these plans from them, this is all you need.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. Every single region and every city has its own code, its own, plus your lot may be different, your topography. So you have to get your actual like engineered flooring plans. Correct. And your local code stuff has to be done. But the design of the house,
for the most part,
the floor plan, 4 elevations, a suggested foundation plan, a roof plan, and a suggested electrical is what you're going to get for that.
And so these guys would make these plans, and they'd get, let's just use 15%, bottom end. They get 15% of that $1,000.
Yep.
Every time.
Every time. And that was my whole spiel. I want to look through your drawers, and you're just going to cash checks. That's all you're going to do. That's all you have to do.
This is bonkers.
It was a great business model.
And so they've grown that 30 years now. Year 3, year 4, they're in $3 million.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that?
Probably the first 10 years of my career at Southern Living.
Wow. Okay.
And then that was part of a group called the Homes Group, and we built show homes.
When you left, what were y'all grossing?
When I left,
10 years. So 7, 8.
At its peak, we were probably at about just a little over 5.
Okay. So it's not just like soared.
No, it hits a plateau. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of that is because the industry kind of caught up to us. So you had all these huge plan aggregators that launched online, and stock plans became a thing. Yeah, exactly. The house plan guys, Alabama home builders, like there's a ton of stock plans, whether they're local or they're Hanley Wood was one of the biggest publishers. But what those guys did is they did not have exclusives with the architects, where we did. Only I could sell the plan, or you, the architect, could sell the plan. So they literally just became aggregators. And your cost of customer acquisition is really the cost of running that business.
You didn't have to pay Johnny in Arkansas.
Nope.
That's awesome.
So it was a great business.
So you did that 10 years, then what?
So then just people came and went within our division. And as they did, I took over other areas of the home division. So we had a custom home builder network of branded Southern Living custom home builders all around the South. And I took that over and ran that for several years, built it up from about probably about 20 guys to just over 102 at its peak. And it was great. And then at some point, the show homes were also under me. So I had a staff of amazing people, like best people I've ever worked with, total family. And together we did the custom builder program, the house plans, and the idea houses. And then we worked on other brands. We did Cooking Lighthouses, we did Southern Accents, we did Progressive Farmer.
So you like, so the part that I love is like there's a Southern Living idea home in Mount Laurel. A friend of ours lives right next door.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
So you would like help design that.
I would go assemble the team.
And then go find like the builder.
Yep.
And then go say, we're going to build this in Mount Laurel. We're going to build this in Mountain Brook, or we're going to build this in, and
That's
you buy
exactly
the lot.
right.
So then they would buy the lot.
Nope, we don't buy anything. It's a spec home. So basically we go to a builder and an architect and an interior designer and a developer. So those are kind of your four key pieces. And we assemble that team and we say, we have selected you to be in the Southern Living magazine. You're going to build the show home. We're going to open it for at least 30 days, sometimes 6 months. We're going to donate to charity all of our ticket revenue. We're going to have volunteers staff it. But you're going to be featured in editorial in the magazine. The Southern Living.
Home of the year.
Yeah, we would go around.
The idea home.
It was amazing. We had people that would call us and pitch us and want us to come and build. Because when we would build these houses, it shined this amazing spotlight on their community.
Sure.
And so they would sell dirt faster. They would sell houses faster. It was a very good business model for them. It was an amazing PR lift.
So when you would change people's businesses. I mean, you would change, I don't want to sound hokey, but you would change people's lives. If you went to, Gus the builder and Gus the builder got picked, his life is forever changed because he was, I built the custom home in 1999.
Yeah. I mean, he no longer had to say I'm the cheapest guy out here or I can prove I'm a great builder. He could just walk in the door and be like, Southern Living picked me. You should too.
I built that house.
And these houses are absolute works of art. They're just such craftsmen.
Oh, no. The one over Mount Laurel that I've seen.
Beautiful.
It was over $1 million home. It was not just crazy look. It just was beautifully classic house.
Yeah.
And the people that, the funny thing is the people that bought that house, they bought it furnished.
Yeah. And they did.
That's what most people do, don't they? They just buy, hey, I give it all to.
A lot of them do. Yeah. And that one was an interesting one because there were multiple designers. Yeah.
Really?
There were multiple designers on that one.
Okay.
So, and it was, I have to say, the people that were corralling all the designers that were on our Southern Living team at the time, they were amazing at corralling everyone. The house still felt cohesive, even though you had like 6 people working on it.
That's crazy. Okay. So you do that.
Yep.
So then transition to where? So
then, at some point, I think it was after Time Inc. had bought Southern Progress Corporation.
Yeah.
We now were part of a much larger consortium of brands. We had Real Simple, we had Food and Wine, This Old House, People Time, Sports Illustrated. We had a lot more brands. And so we wanted to do licensing, but Southern Living had actually not really done licensing. And we didn't have a division or a staff. It was very new. We were a magazine and a media company. And so our revenues had typically been predicated on advertising, print and digital, or consumer revenue through circulation. So this was new and very different. And so, but we knew we had great brand equity and brands that people trusted and recognized. So we started to dabble in licensing. Real Simple was one of the first. We did a really huge deal with Bed Bath & Beyond.
Okay.
And so Southern Living wanted to get in the licensing game.
Okay. When you say licensing game, what do you mean? Break that down for me. Cause
Yep. So
stuff.
So if you have
Towels,
if you have a Yeti
cups.
cup and you put a brand on that cup, then you have licensed your brand to be on those items.
So stuff.
Towels, bed sheets, home decor.
Is that fun?
It's very fun. Yeah. It's very, very fun.
Okay. So, all right. So you're licensing. You got Southern Living this, Southern Living pots and pans, Southern Living that.
Yeah. So somebody at some point in leadership said, we want to do this licensing gig. And so who can we get to, run point? And so I raised my hand and I said, well, I'll tell you what, House Plans is a licensed product. We don't own it. It's a product created by someone else, but we put our brand on it and we use our marketing equity in order to sell those plans. I said,
they make money and we make money.
By definition, that is licensing. So I said, I'll do it.
You're extremely sharp.
I don't know about
we're
that.
Not, we are. This is great though. So you take over the licensing. You
Yes.
help do the licensing brand at Southern Living. Okay.
Yep.
What year is this?
Oh, goodness.
Sorry.
Oh my heaven. It's all like such a blur of a timeline. I would say, when was that? Okay, let's see. My daughter's 14. So it would have been before that. So about 16 years ago.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah. So yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
So I said, okay, well, I don't know anything about licensing. I have raised my hand for this and told people that I can make this happen. So I better go figure it out. But I was like, it'll be fine. So my first thing is I'll find who is doing really great licensing programs in categories that are not competitive to where I want to go, so that maybe they'll be a little more free flowing with some information and best practices. So I joined a couple of like organizational, industry type things, started going to some conferences. I went and met the people that ran the Real Simple business within Time Inc.
So who did you copy?
Well, believe it or not, I didn't copy anyone. I decided to do the opposite of what a lot of people did.
Okay.
So the first thing I did was, it was kind of a no-no. The reason I say an opposite, the theory at the time had been, if you're working with an advertiser, you don't also want to do licensing with them, because that could disrupt your licensing, your advertising revenue. So I said, well, you know what? I feel like
give me an example of that. Like what you're saying.
Okay, so if you are Field and Stream magazine and your number one advertiser is Ford, you don't want to go do a Field and Stream edition of a Ford truck, because what if that doesn't work out and they end up pulling their advertising and pulling your licensing? So it was very church and state, but at the time, very church and state. And so I said, well, I feel I can't, I kind of listened to all these different perspectives, and I was like, I looked at the food, because for Southern Living, the key drivers or pillars of that brand are home, food, garden, and travel, right? Yes. So food was our biggest. It's the entry point to Southern Living. Like, most people get introduced to Southern Living through a recipe.
That's me.
Right? So
food and homes. That's like
food and home. So those are like, the top content in the magazine go food, home, and then it's garden, travel. So food and home represent the biggest for everything for Southern Living. So I looked at food and I learned a lot about food. And if you're not in packaged goods, like if you're not Unilever, you're going to have a really hard time fighting for shelf space, and you have to pay what's called slotting fees. So I'm like learning all of this. I'm like, okay, so food, while it's our most recognized thing that people would expect, super hard to break into.
So you said, guys, you walked in to me, hey guys, we don't need to do a Southern Living brand of chocolate chip cookies or chips or whatever.
Right. And I was really like swimming upstream, right? Because everybody's like, why would you not want a Southern Living biscuit mix, Kristen? It's a no-brainer. I'm like, well, let me explain to you. It is a no-brainer, but you're going to go head to head with Martha White, with Bisquick, with everybody else that's got a biscuit mix out there.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to get into. It's very hard because you have to pay slotting fees. You've got to break into all these different groceries. I'm saying it can be done, but do we want to start
We're going to spend a bunch of money just to play ball.
Right. And we have to develop our recipes. So I said, look, I'll dual track this. We'll take our recipes. And if I can find somebody that can convert that recipe that's for 4 people to a mass recipe, and it still tastes and feels as good as it should to have our Southern Living brand on it, then we'll pursue this. So we rolled it through the test kitchens. I had like 8 different companies trying to recreate our biscuit mixes from our recipes. We couldn't even get close. As soon as you got to a point where it was mass, you lost that integrity of that biscuit.
And this is why it's hard to cater.
Yes, exactly. So hard to cater.
Like, you got to clip that. This is why this is so hard to make food. And people that make food for hundreds, they do it well.
That's an art.
They're good.
Yeah. So you said Southern Living was you were introduced to it by food. Do you remember what the first recipe was?
No, but I make, I want to say a biscuit.
Okay.
But it was like a guest biscuit. You know how they have like Chef Johnny from so-and-so? I want to say it was that. But there's not a month that goes by that I don't pull it out and open it. I don't skip the other stuff. I look at every page. I don't read every article, but I look at every page. I look at 2 things, though. I look at ads. I always look at ads.
Yeah.
Who is spending money to get in front of me?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. The next thing I look at anything that's in Alabama. Like if they say the best barbecue, the best meat and three, the best whatever, I always look at that because I want to go there. I'll go there. And then I go immediately to the back-ish and look for, because I'll take a lot of that stuff and I'll use it here. The hard part is converting it to 50, 30, 80, 90, 150, 300. Yeah. That's hard.
Right. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard.
But it's doable. It's just, you got to tweak it, take things out, add things in.
You do.
So,
and to make it shelf stable is even harder.
Oh my God. I don't even play with that.
Because back when we were looking at this, there was very rare to have, like in today's world, there is refrigerated, end cap displays where you can put something that's a little bit, it's not necessarily held to all the shelf stable restrictions. We didn't really have a lot of that back then. The Jenny's ice cream of the world. I love those guys because look how innovative they were from a couple of shops to now they're in grocery. And that is, I know that journey, and that is a tough
very
journey.
Hard journey. Okay, so you're testing food, and you're like, food's not our deal.
So I'm like, I don't think food's it, guys. I said, so my first kind of do the opposite was I didn't go with our number one core thing, which was food. So the number two would be home. So I said, all right, I'm going to go talk to Dillard's because they have been advertising with us since the day we first ran Southern Living Magazine, since its first one rolled off the press.
Wow.
And it was the size of like a road atlas, and they were like one of our first advertisers. So I talked to a guy that was the advertising rep, and had a great relationship with Dillard's. And he said they would love to do this with us, and we should totally look into it. And I said, well, this is perfect because I wanted something in home and I wasn't quite sure who to approach. I knew that Dillard's had been running with us, and like the demographic overlay of who shops and loves Dillard's passionately.
Sure.
It's the same exact person that's super passionate about your diehard Southern Living fan. Like it's a perfect overlap.
Okay. So you go and start doing home stuff. Give me an example of like the first 3 or 4 or 5 items.
So the very first thing we did was bedding. And,
makes sense. And this was a Southern Living branded thing.
Southern Living branded thing. And we had a partner in between, and it wasn't really right. And so I instead went and met with the team at Dillard's, and I said, okay, I get that you're hesitant, and we've kind of started with this middleman person as our bedding company, but it's not working. Like they can't get the Southern Living look. They just know their look, and their look is lovely. It's not Southern Living. So I said, we can do two things here. We can pull the plug on this because that's what I call a label slap, and it's just not authentic. And my customer is looking for something super Southern Living. Like if you can't look at it without a tag on it and know that's my brand, we have failed.
You're right.
And so the guy that was running the business, he was hilarious. He goes, okay, I have somebody you have to meet. And I was like, all right. So we go down these stairs in Little Rock and in the building.
This is
Dillard's. And he goes, this is B3. This is Bill Dillard III. And I was like, nice to meet you. I said, so Bill, I have this idea for you. And so Bill is like sitting here as you are with me today, and we get out like a little cocktail napkin and we're sketching out what this is going to look like. And we walked out of that. We didn't have a meeting planned. It was nothing. It was, we have this idea. Let's sit down and talk about it. We literally sketched out. It had to be 300 stores. I want it to be like a true shop and shop. And it has to feel like a little Southern Living store inside of every Dillard's.
Right.
He was like, well, I don't know if I can start there day one, but I hear what you're saying about the authenticity, and we will start to directly source for you so that it looks like what you want it to look like.
So Dillard's, in essence, was using their manufacturers
and they're brilliant at it.
For Southern Living
Best
stuff.
In class, and they still do today.
Really?
That's why the stuff looks so good. That collection is amazing.
Okay, so you get this started after you did the the home plans thing. Now you said, hey, I'll do this too. So you get this started. So where do you go from there?
So from there, I started to work on other programs for Southern Living. So once we were successful with Dillard's, we were like, okay, what else could we do? So then we started to look at doing branding communities. So instead of just a home builder or a house plan, we now realized we could brand an entire community. So we would look at their architectural review guidelines. We would interview builders. We would look at their every single thing that was part of a community, and we would go in and brand the community itself.
How are you making money doing that?
So there's a rev share on the lot, and then there's also a membership fee. And so what we do is we were very, very curated in who we would let into this program. We only wanted like the best of the best. And so our job was to provide marketing and branding so that they could sell the lots faster. And if they saw that that pacing was successful, they would stay in the program. And we had like a 98% retention rate. So it was working.
It's working, but is that making good money though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
So so here's something that people don't know. So you got Southern Living, the magazine, you got these house plants, you got the towels and the sheets and stuff like that. What makes the most money? Is it still ad revenue in the magazine?
It depends. So for Southern Living, it is ad revenue that makes the most money, as well as the subscription base.
Really?
For Better Homes and Gardens, the collection I work on today.
Okay, you're not there yet.
Not there yet.
So you start doing the neighborhoods. Then where do you go?
From neighborhoods, we then went into coastal living, and we did a collection for Bed Bath & Beyond, and we launched a beautiful line with Universal Furniture, and then we also launched a very, very beautiful line of lighting, residential lighting. So we built out coastal living. Then we added about 6 new licensees for Southern Living, some that were smaller, some that were bigger.
Licensees, what do you mean?
A licensee would be like Dillard's is our licensee. So I'm the licensor because I have the brand. And then the licensee who manufactures the product and takes it to retail.
So you have more people other than Dillard's making the product. You just give them the spec that you had to do.
Right. So we have contracts with multiple different people.
Making the different products.
Right. So Dillard's does all their own sourcing. But then one of our biggest and best that came on just right at the same time that Dillard's did is our Southern Living plant collection.
I think that's brilliant.
I love that. That is one of my favorite, along with Dillard's. It's one of my favorite things I've ever worked on.
So the hydrangeas and all the different.
Yep.
I love that.
And what most people don't know, are you a gardener?
No, but I plant a garden, but I'm not like green thumb guy. Got to get out there every weekend. We plant a garden every year. So, I mean, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a gardener, but I love anything that is something I can create that's unique to the South, right? Because that gets me excited, whether it's a recipe or whether it's a plant. So we met these guys authentically in Loxley, Alabama. Yeah. They're still there today. We went out and got in an old Ford pickup truck and rode around and looked at all the plant varieties. Yeah. And I said, okay.
Loxley's a huge amount of nurseries.
Mm-hmm. Huge amounts.
I mean, not only huge amounts of nurseries, but huge nurseries.
Oh, yeah. They're massive.
Seemed like the perfect ecosystem.
Yeah, you could drive for days. So we said, okay, so I met these guys and I was like, okay, y'all are the real deal because number one, it's not only what you can grow, but they had a network of growers beneath them. So they were like the aggregator of all the growers, which gave us the scale we needed to go in and have a really big program in a Lowe's, a Home Depot, 150,000 independent garden sitters around the South. So I said, okay, guys, well, how are we going to be different than Monrovia or Proven Winners? Like, what's our thing? And they said, well, let's get in the room with some editors and find out what the white space is, like what's missing. I was like, let's do it. So we had them come to Birmingham. We sat in a room and all of our amazing garden editors, like, Steve Bender, the grumpy gardener, like grumpy people gardener. Who are diehard gardeners, like live for it, Charlie Thigpen, like some amazing, amazing horticultural minds. So we sat in a room and we said, okay, guys, what's missing out there? And they said, well, if you had plants that were just like genetically designed for the South. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what would it do? And it was like the tagline just rolled right off their tongues. They said they would bloom earlier, bigger, and longer in the South. And I was like, there you go.
Meetings
over. Thank you. So I sent our group, our Loxley team, back to Loxley, and I didn't hear from them for like 18 months. I was like, well, I guess those guys went away. And they rolled back in with a cart 18 months later, and they had done trials and grafting and scientifically, genetically altered these plants to bloom earlier, bloom bigger, and bloom longer in the South. And when they weren't in bloom, they were still beautiful. Gorgeous, waxy, green leaves that never lost their color, disease resistant. They had a sunshine ligustrum that to this day will bloom and it will not make you sneeze. It is one of the plants people are most allergic to.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. Okay,
so you do plants and then where do we go from there?
Plants were huge. Dillard's was huge. We did dabble in food. It is still not even that big today, but we do have like 11 different dry mixes from cheesecake to BLT dip to biscuit mixes. So
just had to do it.
Had to do it. And they were very good. But in order to get the quality we insisted on for this brand, they're sold at like a pretty like Williams Sonoma high price point.
Okay, yeah.
So at that price point, you just don't.
Where do
kinda
you
get the
sell? Where are
scale.
those sold at?
They're everywhere. They're Kroger. They're Publix. We sell them in our Southern Living stores. So
It's just a little bit higher than all the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
So
a
it's
little
harder
bit
for it
higher.
every day. Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
Okay. So what next? What'd you do there?
So then we decided we would look at having our own Southern Living stores. So we talked to a company that was a company that had built retail and done accessories and apparel and gift stores. So we signed up a group that came in and they built, I think, 6 Southern Living stores. And then at one point, right before COVID, they bought Swoozies, which is Swoozies.
Yeah.
And so they bought Swoozies, and so they own 11 Swoozie stores plus the 5 Southern Living stores. So there's a shop for Southern Living in every Swoozies, and then there's the 5 freestanding independent stores.
Well, is that a money play? Is that like, hey, this is how we can generate more revenue, or like,
Yeah.
why did they do that?
I think it was for them, it was revenue, and they were very passionate about the brand, and they're good retailers. And I think their scale continues to grow. It was very challenging because they launched right around, right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So they're just now starting to get their legs under them and building out the .com piece. And we had tried to build stores online at many of our different brands. But what we found is we're not retailers. Like, we're very good at storytelling. We're incredibly good at content creation. We're brilliant at advertising and marketing. We're terrible retailers.
That's fine.
Got to know where your strengths are.
The cost of retail is just astronomical.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So you start doing that. So you're still not at Better Homes and Gardens.
No. So let's see. Oh, so then I got pulled into some of the non-Southern brands. So worked on Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated decided they wanted their own swimsuit collection because obviously Sports Illustrated Swim makes more money than Sports Illustrated, the magazine.
Yeah, one issue.
And so so I started splitting my time between Birmingham and New York at that point. I also started working with
This
Food
is when Time Inc. still owned.
Time Inc. still owned us.
Okay, I remember that.
And so I was working with Food and Wine on some restaurants that we owned. And then I was working with Sports Illustrated on launching the swimsuit line, which was interesting. We went to Miami for Swim Week. We had the largest event ever at Swim Week in Miami, which was crazy. Like, I literally had a lit runway running across this pool, and we had famous DJs there and supermodels everywhere and stalkers. And it was just like the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah.
Sounds like it. So you Sports Illustrated, then what?
From Sports Illustrated to Food and Wine. We launched some airport restaurants with Food and Wine. That was a really fun group. What else did we do from there? We entertained a wine club, decided not to do that. I can't tell you, of all the ones that were successful, there were so many that were not.
I can't imagine. So, because the number of successes that we've just talked about today are, because like I've heard of all these things.
Yes. Which, if you can break through the clutter and you've heard of these things, I mean,
every one of these things I've heard of at some point,
Yep.
but I didn't understand and realize the licensing thing. I don't understand that world real well.
Yes.
But like hearing you talk through it, it's just like, oh.
Yes, it's crazy the things that we.
So they built a brand, and they just slowly started taking the things that they're good at,
Yep.
and making their own thing of those.
Yep.
The home plans,
Exactly.
the bedding and the home goods, the plants,
So good. The
all
plans
of
are
these
so
different
good.
things.
The communities, the home builders, the house plans, all of it.
Okay, so we've not. I mean, this is a lot of time, and you've never even not even talked about Better Homes and Gardens. So when did you transition there?
So that's very recent. I've only been on that business for 10 months.
Okay.
So very new.
Okay, so at Better Homes and Gardens and Southern Living are 2 totally different companies, owned by 2 different companies.
Nope, they're owned by the same parent company now.
Okay, so I've got a friend that works at Southern Living,
Okay.
and he's wonderful, Daniel. And
Daniel Fagan.
Boone.
Oh, Daniel Boone. Yes, I know Daniel Boone.
One of my favorite people ever.
Can't go wrong with either
He's
Daniel,
wonderful.
to be honest.
I know,
They're all fabulous.
Exactly. So Daniel, we went over to Southern Living, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place.
It is.
So so Better Homes and Gardens is owned by them. So what do you do with Better Homes and Gardens?
So I do the same thing that I did for all these other brands, but now I only do it for Better Homes and Gardens.
So you're really with the same. So you've been employed by the same company for eons.
26 years. I know. It's an anomaly.
It really, really is.
In today's day and age,
Yeah.
total anomaly. 6 CEOs, 2 spinoffs. How many buyouts? 4?
Oh, no, it's
more than that.
Okay,
6.
do you know, another question. Do you know Alice Head?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know Alice works here?
No, I did not know that.
Works on the 5th floor.
No way.
She's wonderful.
Oh my gosh, she is wonderful.
So she is the reason that we started our second catering business.
Oh.
And I've told this story before, but like we have Meal Fit, which is meal prep and lunch catering.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at me one day and we're doing a nicer event for the president of the college. And she goes, you need to change your name,
Uh-huh.
And I go, well, I've spent years building this brand. I'm not going to do that. She says, well, you just need to start another company. She goes, you're never going to do nice events.
Oh, she's right.
At a higher ticket item.
Yeah.
With a name like Meal Fit.
With a name like Meal Fit. Yeah.
And I was just like, and so I sat on it for a year.
Wow.
And then I recruited Ari Hicks, who owns Hops and Ray, and she did all the branding, logos, the name.
Wow.
I mean, it was just me and her.
That's amazing.
And but I credit Alice with.
She was right.
With like saying, just breathing life into what we were doing, not being critical, but yet still kind of sticking her foot up my butt and go and say, hey, listen to me. And so it's changed our business. But she's still, I consider her a mentor in the hospitality and the look and the do's and the don'ts. And she's true Southern, wonderful, wonderful human being.
She really
still
is.
call her if I need stuff. We don't have
That's
as much interaction today, but she's absolutely wonderful. So, okay. So you started doing this for Better Homes and Gardens. And so it's really the same licensing stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just for a different
brand.
different sticker on the.
Yep, and a different retailer. So with Dillard's, we had 300 stores and we had 3,000 SKUs. With
3,000 SKUs? 3,000 different products.
3,000 different products.
That's a lot of hand towels and sheets.
It's a lot of product. Yep. So with Walmart, we have about the same number of SKUs, just over 3,000, but we have 5,000 doors and a very big .com that we can.
Better Homes and Gardens.
Better Homes and Gardens.
So Better Homes and Gardens is a larger magazine than Southern.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel was telling me.
Yep.
So what is the more money generator for Better Homes and Gardens? Is it the magazine ad revenue, subscription?
Oh no, it's licensing.
Retail.
Yeah. It's licensing.
Okay.
Yep.
Of all the 5,000 or 20,000 or however many thousand SKUs, how many SKUs is it?
For Walmart and Better Homes, it's a little over 3,000.
Okay. So if everybody doesn't know this, when she says SKUs, the lingo is SKUs is another name for products.
Right. Exactly.
Another name for products. So 3,000 products in Walmart's.
Right.
What is the number one product that they sell?
I hate to even say it. It's a black trash can.
No way.
Yep.
It is a black trash can.
Black trash can.
That costs less than $20.
Yeah, it really is. That is the number one product we sell.
Ever.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say this timeless,
I know.
this timeless set of bathhouse that's seen in every home in the below the Mason-Dixon line. No, it's a black trash can.
Sleek little black trash can. Yeah. But as a category, the one that we see the most revenue in, it's candles and home fragrance by far. Huge.
I would have never said that.
Huge, huge, huge. Yeah.
I would have said towels or pots and pans.
We're not even in pots and pans right now.
Did you not used to be?
I think.
Or like I say pots and pans. I shouldn't say pots
like
and pans.
cookware.
Cookware.
Yeah. No, we're not in cookware.
Dishes.
We're in dishes. Definitely in dishes. Yeah.
Golly. The little black trash can.
Little black trash can.
Okay. So talk to me about your day to day. What does that look like?
Oh my goodness. My day to day it's crazy. Number one, I'm super blessed because I love the people at Walmart I work with.
Yeah.
I love my boss at Dot Meredith.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's very empowering. And so my day to day is like too much fun to actually call work. So, but I have a team of people. So my day is typically, I tell everybody we operate off of a sticky note system. If you can't write down your 5 things you have to get to move this business forward on a sticky note, you're just going to get bogged down in the weeds, because where we all go is in our comfort zone, which is in the weeds. It's like, let's deal with the little stuff because the big stuff is kind of scary.
Man, that's so good.
So I'm like, all right, stick your sticky note on your desk. And so your day to day should be, is what I'm doing, moving something on this sticky note forward. And if it's not, I got to clear it off my plate. I got to prioritize so that I can look up 90 days from now and have an impact in what this sticky note says. Because that's how this business doesn't stall. And stalling is the death of business.
That is absolutely gold. That should be in a book somewhere. Okay, so talk to me about your kids and your home life.
I have one precious munchkin. She is 14.
Okay.
She's my mini me. She's like a way better version of me. Brilliant.
Now, where does she go to school?
Old soul.
14. I got a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, do you really? Boy or girl?
Girl.
Oh,
I've got
okay.
a 14, 11, and 7.
Oh, you have 3.
I've got 3.
We wanted 3 kids.
I've got 3.
Took us a little while to get this perfect one here.
Yeah.
So now we always joke and we're like,
where does she go to school?
Chelsea High School. Yeah.
So just right down the road.
Right down the road.
Tell me about her.
She's incredible. She is an equestrian. She's a barrel racer. It's something that she started wanting to ride horses. Now I'm a huge horse person, so I probably influenced her a little bit because we had horses in the backyard.
My kid plays football. I did.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
My daughter plays volleyball. My wife did. It's okay. It's perfectly okay. It's what you know.
Totally okay.
Yeah. You're not going to teach them about billiards because you don't know anything about billiards.
I have no clue how to play billiards.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we tried soccer and, we did cartwheels in the end zone. I was like, all right. So then she got into horses and she did a little hunter jumper for a little while and was just precious. And then she saw this sign on the side of the road and it had a barrel racer on it. And she said, I want to do that. And I was like, okay. And we had gone to Texas to visit my family and we were at a dude ranch and she got on a horse and they were like, it was the greatest horse. It was a reining horse. And they said, just
a what horse?
A reining horse. Like, you know how you watch Yellowstone and they come slide in and they work the cows and they spin and they do all these amazing things. So it was a reiner and she had gotten on it and they were like, just our grandson rides it, just go run. And she'd never gone any faster than a trot, right? And so she gets out there and she's this little bitty thing sitting on this big old horse. And at first she kind of lets him go and he takes off running and she stops him and she's like, okay, so I'm in control. I mean, very smart. Like, even though she's a little kid, she's like going to feel it out, make sure she can control it before she lets the thing go wide open.
Right.
Which defines her personality.
Sure. Like,
she is the kid that even when she was at, Mountain Brook Baptist daycare, she would check out the room, see what kids were in a good mood and go hang out with that kid. Miss Mildred, her wonderful teacher, would tell us she was fascinated by how a kid 2.5 years old could assess a room, read a room. So she does this. She gets control of this horse and then she lets it run. Well, the minute I see her grinning from ear to ear, I was like, I think we're done going over fences. Like, this child's going to need some speed.
Wow. So she barrel races. I know this is a long shot, but the barrel racing community in Birmingham, I think, is pretty small.
It is.
Do you know the Isbels? Chloe Isbell. She's 13.
I do know Chloe Isbell. Yes.
So Patrick and Patrick and I are great friends. And Lacey and I are great friends.
Oh my gosh. No way.
We go same gym, same church.
That's crazy.
So Chloe is on the 7th grade volleyball team. And my daughter was on the 8th grade volleyball team.
Oh, that's so cute. So that's how they know each other?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, we've done life together for a while, but like they've met before that. But then volleyball, they've gotten closer. They're not on the same team, even though they're only a grade apart. But take that back. Jonna and Chloe are in the same grade now. Jonna just plays up a little bit, but they're in the same grade. But I'm always seeing Lacey and they're always going to a race or always doing that. So
I do know them.
Chloe's a little bitty thing too.
Little bitty thing.
So
yeah,
awesome.
Isn't that, it's so fun to watch these little bitty kids on these big, massive animals.
Going so fast.
Going so fast, yeah. They'll clock 30 miles an hour coming out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So what else? Tell me about your husband. Tell me what does like life look like for y'all as far as the barrel racing and work?
Yeah. So life for us is my husband's a state farm agent. I met him when I came here to Birmingham and I literally could have written a book about all the just disaster dating that I had gone through even while I was here in Birmingham. And he came up to our table one night. We were at Zydeco of all places.
Oh, on Southside.
On Southside. Yeah. And he had gone to Alabama with a bunch of the people at my table that were from Southern Progress Corporation. We used to go out every Thursday night. We called it like our Thursday night group. And so we would just all go out there after work and he comes walking up. And he's just been out golfing with a friend and, he's sunburnt and his hair is all blonde and just the cutest thing. And I was like, oh no, I am done. I have dated the alcoholic catfish farmer that looked like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. I went to Paris with a guy that broke my heart and it was a whole nother story. And this is too good looking. I'm writing off these types, I'm going to go with a more studious.
Yeah.
Not this hot golfer,
That's
blonde,
awesome.
6 foot tall, broad shouldered, walking in here. So I wouldn't talk to him. And so then he sits down next to me, and I was literally like, I'm just going to turn away. I'm like, not even going to talk to him. And of course, he loved a challenge. And so he keeps trying to strike up a conversation. Well, it doesn't take long. He starts talking about his new chocolate lab puppy. And I was like, I'm sorry, what'd you say your name was? Turns out we're both huge animal people.
Okay.
And he's just a doll. We've been married 19 years.
That's wonderful.
He's my best friend. There are days when I absolutely want to take a skillet upside his head.
Sure.
And I'm sure he wants to do the same to me.
Yeah.
I am such a challenge to be married to, and yet he's just like the best. So
work, kid, husband.
Yep.
I imagine that you like work.
I do. I love it.
Just hearing you talk.
Mm-hmm.
You love what you do.
I do.
What are the challenges? Are you challenged with stopping work at a certain time to be with your kid or your husband? Is that a challenge for you?
Mm-hmm. No, it's really
Has
not.
it ever been a challenge for you?
Yes, I will say when my child was little and I had to travel so much, that was very challenging because when you're away from them, it's hard, especially when they're little. And my husband was great. He stepped up. He was super dad. He had it all under control. He actually said to me, you need to not feel so guilty because it's the only time I really get her all to myself. He's like, you know, when you're here, she's such a mommy's girl that this is kind of my time with her. He's like, you got to not feel so guilty. So, but those were very, very hard times to be a mom of a young child and have to travel and be away is like the hardest thing you can ask someone to do. It's okay to go to work and then come home and then you're there with them and you can kind of get your fix and, you know, smell that little top of the head and cook dinner for everybody and you feel reset.
Right.
When you have to travel, you don't get that reset button and it will unravel you in a heartbeat.
We've done a good job at not traveling. I don't have a job that requires that. I know a lot of buddies that do. And so my best friend in Tennessee travels a lot and it is hard.
It's hard.
Gone 3 or 4 days, back 4 or 5, gone 3 or 4 days, back 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Home for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then gone for a week.
And then gone again. It's a lot.
It is. And so we don't like spending, we try our best not to spend many nights away from each other.
Yeah. It's really hard. You can become strangers quickly.
Yeah. So in what you're doing now, what is next steps for is it just continue to grow this? You've only been there 10 months though. So what do you see yourself doing the next 5, 8, 10 years? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think I'm really laser focused on growing this business. I feel like we're just the very tip of the iceberg of what this business can look like. And to be paired with the largest retailer in the world, it's like just look for the pain points, be the best brand partner you can be with them, and really deliver on what the consumer wants at this amazing price point.
And keep selling black trash cans.
And keep selling black trash cans.
Oh my goodness. What else?
Oh, well, let's see. I would say the biggest challenge that I have is really just people. Like I love my job now because I love the teams I work with. I love my boss. But there was a time when I did not. I worked for some very challenging people.
Sure.
And that was a stress like no other stress I've ever had.
Yeah. It's just like anything though. I mean, I don't ever have an issue with food.
Right.
I have an issue with people.
With people.
Whether it be people, someone that's I've hired, someone that's working for us or whatever. So it's all about people. Okay. What else? Because I could ask 47 questions about all the different things. What other things? What has been the most fun thing you've done as far as job is concerned? You don't have to say what you're doing right now.
Fun.
But like, you remember it being waking up every day and it just being absolutely a blast.
The most fun. Oh my gosh, I've had so many fun things. I will say the custom builder program that I took over and really built to scale.
Yeah.
It was unexpected how those relationships with those builders were literally, they became some of my best friends and family. And every year we would go to an annual conference. And all the builders come in, all the developers come in, the architects come in, the brand editors are there, and our sponsors are there. And I mean, we would have a guitar pool where we would have the guys that play at the Bluebird in Nashville came in and they would wrap this conference with this big songwriter in the round and everybody's singing and having a drink and celebrating. And those are some of my most favorite memories of just the way our team would load up 3 vans and drive to wherever this conference was being held. And we worked incredibly hard, but it was so rewarded by the way these people would come up to us at conference and they would say, "You have changed our world." Like we didn't know how to be this kind of caliber of builder until Southern Living tapped into us.
That's awesome.
And so it was a combination of amazing people, great projects. We worked with them to launch Operation Finally Home, where our builders build homes completely mortgage free for wounded soldiers that have fallen in the gap. So they weren't in active military when their injury occurred. So the military doesn't pay for them. They couldn't even get a wheelchair ramp built. And so we had a group of builders in Texas that found out about this, and we started to partner with them, and we've built 20 plus homes. And there's incredible. A wonderful woman running that program today. She's brilliant, and she has continued that and grown it even more beyond me. Like that is the best thing for me, is to have someone that came in under me that I was like, "Oh, I can tell you're going to be amazing." And so I stole her from another group, and today she runs that program.
Runs it. That's awesome. So let me go back to like what you're doing currently. So Better Homes and Gardens, the products. How involved, two-part question. I'll answer the first one first. 2 parts. Revenue. How involved are you in like the revenue part? Like, hey, this is what we're doing. This many millions of dollars, this being whatever. How involved are you in like, okay, this is making great money. This is making no money. We're losing money on this. Let's get rid of this product. Are you involved in those conversations?
Every minute of every day, 100%. That's 80% what I do.
Is figuring out what's making money, what's the margin. Okay, another question. Margins. What margins do you have on products like that? Because you got 3,000 products. Do some products have a higher margin than others?
Yeah.
So what is like an average margin on these products?
Well, it just runs the gamut because we have so many products. And that margin is controlled by Walmart. I don't select the suppliers. So the suppliers that work with Walmart, like that's a whole nother world. And they're having to meet certain standards in order to land those goods at a certain price. They have to get through the quality testing control. They have to get them on shelf. And to do all of that, it's all a part of that margin game, right? So you have to work with kind of best in class suppliers that can be good enough to work with the Walmarts of the world. But that margin is controlled 100% by Walmart.
So it has nothing to do with you.
We don't drive that piece of it. We look at the numbers and the sales because we're trying to, from a brand perspective, make sure we have our brand on the right products, make sure that we are delivering marketing that's driving that consumer to Walmart to pick that brand over something else. So, I look at how do I help Walmart steal market share from Amazon, from Wayfair, from Target, from Kohl's.
You're battling Amazon.
Everybody's battling Amazon.
Is a Better Homes and Garden product on Amazon?
Okay. No, it's exclusively at Walmart.
Really?
Only at Walmart.
Best marketing dollars Better Homes and Gardens spends?
That's a tough one. We are...
Okay. Most marketing dollars.
Most marketing dollars right now are going to what we call meta ads and lookalike campaigns, because we are in an active marketing effort to steal that market share. So in order to do that, you have to know who's buying their back to school products at Kohl's and Amazon versus Walmart. And you have to go try and find that customer and actively bring them over to Walmart. So that's where the best money is spent right now. And that's where the majority of my money is spent right now. But I will tell you this, my business is primarily brick and mortar. So while Walmart is trying really hard to grow their .com business so they can go head to head with an Amazon, I'm saying I will help you with that. And I also want to see that grow. But if 90% of my business is brick and mortar, then I need to be focused on, I need in-store signage, I need in-cap displays, I need more product in store versus spending all my money on digital.
So you're still spending bukus of money on signs
Yep.
in the building.
Yep.
How much of your product do you think is impulse buy as opposed to focused buy? Or do you know that?
We don't know that because we don't know what we don't know the intent of what they walk in for. We know we send them in the door, but can I definitively tell you that they came in to buy an azalea and they ended up with a mattress pad?
How do we track that?
We can track, we have links in digital that allow us to track.
Sure.
Just like you have like influencers and there's links that track all the way down to a path to purchase.
Do you do any influencer marketing?
No, we do a ton of influencer marketing.
Are you using micro influencers? Or are you using like, I know you're not using like Kim Kardashian, but like, are you using like the ones that have 5 to 50,000 followers as opposed to ones that have 2 million followers? Are y'all doing any of that?
Yeah, we do. And we try to do whoever is biggest in category influencer. So if you're looking to sell bedding or you're looking to sell, dishes and tableware and home decor, you want influencers that are, we like to have people that hover around 1 million in audience size because otherwise it can be a little too specialty.
That's great. This is fascinating.
And it's a math equation. I mean, we're only in a certain number of doors. We know that the majority of our business is driven in Midwest and the South. And so we demographically, geographically target a very specific customer.
How many are on the marketing team at Better Homes and Gardens doing this?
There are 8 people that work on marketing.
That's it?
It's a very lean group. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Walmart.com can grow their online presence for it to be something like you or I would choose to do that as opposed to Amazon? Is that possible? It's the number one retailer in the world. Mm-hmm. They have that going for it.
Yep. Yeah, I think Walmart can. I think Walmart is the only one that can.
Sure.
They're the only other player that's that substantial that can do it.
But you think it's possible?
I do. Mm-hmm. I think they need their version of Prime. They need their version of Bindings because when you think about it, Amazon's such an easy button. That's how they garner so much market share.
So easy, girl. Listen, it is so easy. Hey, Dad, this is the 3rd book in this series that I'm reading.
Here's the link to it.
Hey, link, click, buy, done.
Yeah, and it's like, here in 2 days.
I could do it walking to the bathroom.
It's so easy.
And that's like, you can't do that on Walmart.com yet.
You can't, and that's the code to be cracked. But once they crack that code, there's no stopping them.
You're fascinating. You really, really are. And I know what Sam's going to say when we get done shooting this. His mouth's going to be standing wide open just because I could ask the marketing questions and the product questions and the dollar questions is what fascinates me. The margins, the things like that. I love those things. I'm also absolutely fascinated that the black trash can is the number one product that y'all sell in the world. So, hey, what questions do you have for me? Because don't know anything about me, and so what do you want to know?
Well, tell me how you got started in the world of food and catering. Like that's fascinating to me. I had no idea. Since this is the forum I know you in, I had no idea you had that piece of you. Yeah.
So, I grew up from the time I was 5, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to coach college football. And so that's all I ever wanted to do. It's all I ever worked for. Not a school guy, average grades. But I did what I did with the intent of, I knew what I was going to do. Like I was never one of these kids that didn't know. I knew. And so I graduated from college. And so for, I guess the next 10 years, that's what I did. I coached college football. Loved it.
Who'd you coach for?
I was at NC State for a little bit. We all got fired there. And so it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so I did that for a little bit. And then we got fired and went to Tennessee Tech, was there for a little while, and then had a kid too. And I'm the only guy that ever quit a job they absolutely loved and took a pay cut. So took a huge pay cut, started working at church simply because I didn't have a job. Like I wasn't called to work at a church, but God put me there for a season. And then I started doing meal plans. So this is back in 2013. Started doing meal plans for people, like digital meal plans. And that took off. I mean, first year we did about $8,000 of me and the church laptop.
No way.
And then the next year we did like $80,000.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. And it was like people in 26 different countries, thousands of people. And then obviously that phased out. I mean, we could be walking to your car and I could pull up a meal plan in 30 seconds for free that's made just for you. So that's phased out. And then in that transition, we transitioned into doing actual food in an old barbecue joint. This is when I lived in Tennessee. And we started doing meal prep. My buddies sold pharma and did medical device. And so they said, hey, can you cater? You ever thought about catering? I was like, no, yeah. So I had no clue. So I started catering for pharma. And that's really how we got started catering, is doing pharma. And then long story short is we just kept adding different layers. And the true example of starting your own business and evolving and pivoting when times change. Eventually the meal plan thing phased out. Like no one wanted to do it anymore. It was great while it lasted because that's what gave us 90% margins on everything.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
No, it was nuts. It was seriously the first year and a half I did it. It was me, a laptop that I didn't even pay for. It was the church's laptop. And I was just doing digital meal plans, paying I wouldn't even pay for a CRM. And so huge margins there. And then we just started catering, and then that grew. And then we moved here. We did that there for 5 years. And then we came here, and then we do the food for Highlands College, and then have meal prep, and then the meal fit catering part. And then we have table and time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's been a great run. I mean, we're probably 11 years in. Golly, 11 years in. 11 years into doing the different food parts. I had a restaurant-esque thing for like a year and a half, 2 years. Did not like it.
Didn't like it. It's a different beast.
Just restaurants. I mean, we were only open 3, 5. We were only open 15 hours a week. It was 11 to 2 lunch spot.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I believe in business, you need more than one source of income, meaning like we had meal prep, we had catering, and we had retail. So retail was great when the kids were in school, when everything was flowing and going. But like summer and like Christmas break, it was anemic.
Oh gosh.
But then catering was great then.
Oh.
Well, then the beginning of the year when catering's not great in January and February, what's great? Meal prep, because everybody. So I really think in all businesses, you need more than one source, like one thing that you do that's all along the same lines.
Right.
So we've always had 3.
That makes sense.
Here we have 3 different ones. We have Highlands College, which that's not a huge revenue generator, but it allows us to do different things. We have the meal prep portion, and we have the 2 catering legs that we do. And so it's been great. I really, really enjoy what we do. We help people. I mean,
and how in the world did you go from that to doing a podcast?
So I love business. I really like food, but I love business. So I also believe that you don't have to be a 70, 85 hour a week person working your brains in the dirt to be successful. I really, really believe in my heart that you can be extremely successful financially and from a productivity standpoint, but also still have a great family. And so I want to highlight that. I want to highlight C-suite executives, business owners that are doing a great job. And yet Saturday morning, you're going to be at barrel racing practice.
Yes, I am.
That's huge. Like people don't understand that. The lady that helps drive the ship that in Better Homes and Gardens is going to be at dinner tonight.
Yep.
And you're going to be at barrel racing practice on Saturday morning.
It's true.
I think that's fascinating. And when people see that you're part of a company that produces $3 billion worth of stuff, that she works 90 hours a week. Well, you may work 50 or 60 hours a week, and that's fine sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's also the human element of it that like, and you summed it up great. You summed it up with the sticky note illustration of like, hey, this is where we're going to be today. And all we got to do is we got to be great today. Let's be great today at these things. It's going to drive one of these 5 things towards where we're going. If we can do that, we're one step closer to meeting our goal.
Yep. So true.
So yeah, that for us, that's kind of what we do. And I enjoy it.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Yeah. You can tell you love what you do. It comes across.
I do.
Yeah.
How do you know Laura Quick?
Laura and I met. Where did we? Zach Brown was the charity recipient of a show home we did in Atlanta. So I got to know Shelly Brown, who was Zach's former wife.
Okay.
Shelly is unbelievably adorable, and we are good friends still to this day. She introduced me to Laura. She said, you guys need to know each other. You're both in Birmingham. You're both in magazine world.
Yeah.
You have the same kind of energy, which I took as a huge compliment because you know Laura, and she's absolutely
wonderful.
amazing.
She is.
And so we met, and then Laura and I just as Shelley predicted, we became very, very, very close. So,
That's great.
And I treasure her.
How much? Okay, you don't have anything to do with the magazine, do you?
No, I don't do any kind of content or ad sales or anything like that.
All retail. Perfect. Hey, you've been great.
Well, thank you for having me.
This has been really fun. I mean, you've blown my mind like 3 or 4 times with just the little things that you've said. So I really, really appreciate it. So if you need to get in touch with Kristen, just shoot us a message here at the podcast. You can email me, thomas@thomascox.co, and I will get you in touch with Kristen as best as I can. Hey, thank you. You've been so much fun. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
enjoyed it.
All right, see you.